Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I definitely appreciate it. It's a great honor, and I'm very humbled to even be nominated for this this type of achievement.
Alabama's obviously feeling great about themselves. They've had a really, really solid year and coming off a sweep on the road. So, and they got a great pitching staff.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Here on a Monday night, we begin another busy week of Sports Talk. Phil Kornbluth and the Professor Tom Hayes with you. I'm at the Columbia Convention Center in downtown Columbia for the annual induction ceremony for the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. We've got 8 more outstanding individuals, those who played on the courts and the fields of South Carolina during their collegiate days, going into the Athletic Hall of Fame. We'll hear from some of them coming up tonight. Going in tonight, Troy Brown, who was a standout at Blackville Hilda, went on to Marshall, then with the New England Patriots in football. Clemson basketball star Greg Buckner. South Carolina basketball standouts Art Wisnett, B.J. Mackey, and Martha Parker Hester. Also going in, Citadel baseball great Richard Wieters, Buddy Sasser, outstanding coach and administrator, going into the Hall of Fame, and former Clemson and Major League Baseball pitcher Flint Rem will be enshrined posthumously. That's the lineup here tonight at the Convention Center. Looking forward to bringing some of these folks to you tonight. Also, of course, baseball to talk about. Tough weekend for the Gamecocks. They lose that series to Texas A&M. Though, Pro, if you're going to lose a series, I guess it's always best to win that to feel a little bit better going into the next week.
Well, what it shows is, baseball can be cruel sometimes. And South Carolina really just could not get anything going offensively in the first game. And I think probably a couple of defensive gaffes, some struggles on Saturday. But they showed their mettle by bouncing back in that last game. And let's face it, 2 out of 3, you're still in that jumbled up top 4 in the SEC where it's going to come down to this last weekend, there's no doubt. And who knows, maybe I ought to force Florida and South Carolina to play that last game to really set things up.
Yeah, it's a shame that that game got rained out. But you know what? I think if you had asked Chad Holbrook, any reasonable Gamecock fan, would you like to be in the position you're in, to be in the top 4 come the last weekend of the regular season? Would you sign up for that back in February? And I think they just said, where do I sign? In fact, I'll sign up in triplicate. Meantime, Clemson got the bats going big at Georgia Southern. Should have swept that series, ended up taking 2 out of 3. They got some momentum going. They've got Notre Dame coming up the end of this week. Charleston Southern tomorrow. USC's got the Citadel tomorrow before they go to Alabama. Going to talk about all of that, all the other breaking news of the day. Talk with some honorees as well. It's a great night, as it is every night, here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
How long we gonna be on? I got to be somewhere in about 5 minutes.
And we're back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Here on a Monday night, we come to you from the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremonies here in downtown Columbia. And we're presented by Future Scholars Palmetto Baby Grant Program. May 29th is 529 Day. All babies born on May 29th are eligible to receive a $529 college savings grant. To apply, visit scpalmettobaby.com. Future Scholar is administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, who's not in the Athletic Hall of Fame. He's probably in a Hall of Fame somewhere. But going into the Hall of Fame tonight is Buddy Sasser, longtime football coach here in our state, Conway High School, over at Wofford for many years, involved in the development of the football program at Coastal Carolina. And congratulations to you.
It was good to see you. We used to go together. I remember when you were a teenager.
Well, just about. Just about. It's great to see you. And, boy, what an honor and a way of the state recognizing what you accomplished in your career. How does it feel?
Well, I feel very good. You know, when I'm here, though, I feel like I'm getting, but I owe it to so many people. I can't name them all.
But most of them are coming tonight.
A good many of them. There's going to be a crowd here.
In your day as a football coach, especially when you were at Wofford, was there one thing about your teams that kind of stood out that you implemented that maybe was different from others around you at that time?
Well, I don't know if anything different, but we always emphasize that, you know, it's not an individual sport. You know, some sports are individual. You get out and play golf, you got to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. But we always emphasize in football, it's a team sport. So the importance of it, I felt like when I was at Wofford and Allware, I coached this, fellas, we got to do it together. And we can't think about us individually. Don't have to worry about, you know, I'm here today, but I never have feel about being an All-American or a Hall of Fame. I always thought about just doing my best job. I never thought about honors.
Yeah. You grew up in Conway
High School.
And became the head coach at Conway.
Right.
That's not always an easy gig, being the head coach in your hometown, is it?
Well, you just think not, but I don't know. It was a very good job with me.
Yeah. Well, you had a great record. Let's see, you didn't lose very much. 66, 17, and 5.
Yeah, well,
that keeps them happy.
Oh yeah, well, we were very fortunate to have a lot of good talent.
The development of the football program at Coastal Carolina. Right. You were on the committee, kind of got that whole thing started.
Right.
What do you remember about those days, about beginning a program?
Well, you know, a lot of times, you know, when we started football at Coastal Carolina, people don't realize that there were no colleges in the southern part of the coast that had football. Mm-hmm. So we figured, hey, let's look at, we can have football and get a lot of people because, you know, you got to drive 3 or 4 hours to a college football game from this area. So when we started Coastal, we did very well. And, you know, I told them when I went there, Phil, that, you know, anywhere East Coast or the West Coast of the United States where you have a college, if you can see the ocean from your tallest building, you go grow. Uh-huh. So those kids like to come to Coastal because they were 10 miles from the beach.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you believe where the program is headed now, moving into the highest level of college football in less than 15 years?
Yeah, we have over 10,000 students there, so it's really and it's going to get bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Joe Moglia and the job he's doing
an outstanding job. Got, you know, and I found out too, the secret of coaching, and I think Joe knows this, is who you surround yourself with. So Joe's a great coach, but he's surrounding himself with a great staff.
And the Big South, your name is connected with the Big South Conference, the Buddy Sasser Cup, and all this. Right. However, Coastal's leaving the Big South. Does the Buddy Sasser Award still remain with the Big South?
I won't make that decision, but, you know, I can understand whatever they do, and I have a lot of respect for the Big South and the schools and Kyle Callahan and all the job they do. They do an outstanding job, and I'll always be attached to them.
Oh, sure. I would think that they would leave that in place. What's the message of your talk going to be about tonight?
Very brief. They said keep it 3 or 4 minutes. Uh-huh. So, you know, I learned a long time ago a good speech, Phil. You know what it is?
What's that?
A good beginning, a good ending, and keep them close together.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to do tonight.
Just thank everybody. And
Yep.
And will you reflect any on some of the people you coached with over the years?
Well, we got such a brief time, it's going to be hard to do it. And another thing, too, you have to be careful when you start naming names.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, you think you've named everybody and you leave somebody out, you don't like to do that.
Sure, I understand.
And if I named all of them, I would be up there for 30 and 40 minutes.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yep.
One last thing. As a coach on the sideline, what was your demeanor like? I mean, you seemed like the years I've known you, of course, I knew you after you would retire, and you just seemed very calm, laid back, easygoing. Did you coach in that way?
Sometimes. And, except when the officials made a bad call.
Uh-huh. I mean, you could get your dander up a little bit?
Yeah, I know when I was coaching high school, went down and played Somerville one down there, and I looked on the field, and officials were looking at the ground. And I said, what are you doing looking at the ground? I walked out there and said, buddy, get off the field. There's a snake on the field. I said, I knew there were 4, but I didn't know there were 5.
And you weren't even talking about Coach McKissick, were you?
No.
Yeah.
I talked about the officials.
How'd you do against Coach McKissick over the years?
We won that time we played him.
So you went 1-0 against John McKissick.
Yeah, but I tell you what,
yeah.
I'm sure if I played him anymore, it wouldn't have been 1-0.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks for joining us, and enjoy your night.
Thank you.
You got it.
Do.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Buddy Sasser going into the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame tonight amongst the 8 people who are going into the hall tonight, and they're going to have a big night. Family and friends here to honor them, and things will get underway about 6:30, and then they'll have the induction ceremonies a little bit after 7 o'clock. Also tonight, I should mention that Herman Helms is going to receive Bob Spear is going to receive the Herman Helms Excellence in Media Award, and well-deserved. My gosh, how many years has he been covering sports in South Carolina, primarily for the state newspaper? And the Dom Fucci Leadership in Action Award is going to go to Julian Gibbons, who's a member of the Hall of Fame board, but has been involved in athletics in South Carolina in many different ways over the years, and is like the go-to guy for the board when they need some information, they need some insight on somebody they're discussing for enshrinement. Julian would know as much as anybody about any individual they're discussing. So those are the other 2 folks to be honored here tonight in Columbia. And we appreciate Buddy Sasser coming by and visiting with us for a few minutes. We will, of course, Friday night we heard from B.J. Mackey. We're also going to hear from Troy Brown tonight and Martha Parker Hester for sure, because I talked to them earlier. And Art Wisnitz possibly is coming by with us, and also possibly going to have Richard Wieters here as well. To plan this thing is one thing. To get them here is another thing, because there's hundreds of people out in the cocktail hour, and they all want a piece of the honorees. They all got family and friends here. It's hard to get them over here. So we'll take our next break here in a couple of minutes and see if we can gather up another or 2. Now, the NCAA golf tournament, the men's side of things, started today. And USC, Clemson, Charleston Southern, the College of Charleston, all involved. South Carolina had the best day. They're playing in different regionals. USC's playing at the University of Alabama. As a team, they shot 1 under today, puts them 3 shots back of the leader after the first round. Georgia shot 4 under par. Individually for the Gamecocks, Sean Kelly, a 1 under 71. Matt Neesmith, a 2 under 70. Will Stark, a 1 over 73. Keaton Husky, a 73. And Scott Stevens, a 2 over 74. So the Gamecocks are sitting there in second place in their regional after round 1. The College of Charleston's also at Alabama at 10 over par. They're in 8th place. Charleston Southern is in 12th place at 27 over par. The cutoff is number 6, the 6th position. The top 6 teams advance, and the top 5 teams advance. Tim Beret is everywhere. Thank goodness he's in this room. The top 5 teams advance. Thank you, Tim. So the cutoff in this regional, Alabama sitting on the cut line at +4. So not a whole lot of difference between 1 and 5 in this regional, -4 to +4. Clemson playing at Oklahoma State. Tigers are sitting tied for 8th at +20. They are only 5 shots back of the cut line, however, which is plus 15. The leader is Oklahoma State, which turned in a 3 under par score today. We'll give you some of the details on the Tigers' day coming up in a moment. Yeah, I love it when Tim Beret is nearby because you can get all kinds of information. He reminds me that the year Clemson won the national championship was on this same course at Oklahoma State, and the winning score was 39 over par, highest score to win a championship. Very difficult course, and these scores reflected. Stephen Bear had a 3 over 75, Austin Langdale a 76, Carson Young a 78, Miller Capps an 81, and Bryson Nimmer 79. So key for Clemson, of course, get to that 5 spot or better if you can. They've got 2 more rounds to get that done. And the regionals continue here this week, heading towards the NCAA tournament. A few other things to pass along to you. The baseball rankings for this week, they are out. 3 teams in the state are ranked. Baseball America has USC at 10, Coastal at 22, Clemson at 23. The coaches poll, USC at 10, Clemson at 18, and Coastal at 21. And D1 baseball, USC's 11, Clemson 19, and Coastal is 20. Florida is number 1 in all 3 of those rankings. And South Carolina goes on the road after playing the Citadel tomorrow night. The Gamecocks will go on the road to play at Alabama to close out their regular season. Alabama, one of the red-hot teams in the SEC. USC trying to hang in there for one of those coveted top 4 spots in the SEC that gives you the day off for the SEC tournament. And it's invaluable to have that if you want to advance in the tournament. So they've got to go to Alabama and certainly win the series, if not sweep it, if they're going to stay in the top 4.
Well, the key point is if you're going to win the series, you might as well win the first one. That's going to be the key game for South Carolina. Not to say that they can't lose the first game and win the last 2, but to take the pressure off, you want to win that first game. But it's interesting, Phil, we've all seen a lot of baseball, college, major leagues, that even though the fans want to moan that you're in a slump, it's been too many times I've seen that this is almost the right time to have a little lull, because we've all seen teams, and I know your Yankees have been there, my Braves have been there once, where you thought that they hit a lull period right at the end of the season, and then somehow a switch gets flipped when the postseason starts. By the same token, we've seen hot teams right at the end of the year go right into the playoffs and flop. So it's interesting how this baseball is psychologically, and if you're hot and you do it at the right time. And that's the key point.
Now, I think the baseball postseason is really one of the simplest of them all. I mean, to get to Omaha, you just have to win 5 games. And if you have a good regular season and you're hosting a regional, you win 3 games in the first round of the regional, and then you're on to the super regional. And if you're one of the top 8, you host that, you win 2 games, and boom, you're in Omaha. And, the good teams that are playing well, you talk about getting hot, that's where you get hot, because it only takes 5 wins to get to Omaha, maybe 6 if you stumble at one point in that first round regional. But you can get hot at that right time and win those 5 games, you're on your way. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Sports Talk here on a very special Monday night. We come to you from downtown Columbia. We were always in downtown Columbia, but we're a little more downtown than, well, you can't be any more downtown Main Street than where we normally broadcast from. We're maybe a few blocks down from our home location at the Columbia Convention Center for the annual induction ceremonies for the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. We heard from Buddy Sasser a little while ago. Today there was a press conference where everybody spoke very briefly, just talked about how they're excited about going into the Hall of Fame and gave you a chance to take pictures and see them in person. And I had a chance to talk to a couple of more of the folks going into the Hall of Fame, including former USC women's basketball star Martha Parker Hester. An outstanding player, she was 1,728 career points, earned All-America honors during her time at South Carolina in the mid to late 80s, and played for Nancy Wilson, had a tremendous career. She went on to become a doctor here in the Midlands, has a great practice going. I had a chance to talk with her and asked her thoughts about going into the Hall.
It's like you were saying earlier, time flies, and you're just so grateful for being nominated, being inducted, the board for selecting us, and for me to be part of the class. But like I do, it's the people that get you there that makes a difference. So it'll really be a night for them, although it seems like it's about us.
What was it about you as a player that drove you and made you the player you became at South Carolina?
I think it was the idea that I think the Lord was kind of cultivating in me at a young age of just giving 150%, never looking back and giving 150%, and things will turn out well one way or another. And so just trying to give it your very best and not look back.
What do you recall about your days? What stands out in your mind about your career?
Just how fortunate I was to wear a University of South Carolina uniform, how fortunate I was to play under Coach Nancy Wilson, how fortunate I was to have the teammates that I had. It was just such a special time at the university when the bricks were being laid for the future generations. And for me to be able to be a part of that is such a privilege. So it was just such an exciting, perfect time.
Can you believe where women's basketball is today?
It is. It's incredible. The athletes are incredible. The competition is incredible. How the University of South Carolina has risen to the top ranks consistently is incredible. So just to be some minor part of that in the twinkling of an eye way back when is a privilege.
Do you ever think that, gee, I just came a generation too soon? If I had just waited and played, come along this era and enjoyed everything that the women enjoy now in college basketball, it would have been great.
Well, I think you're so grateful for what you did have. And what I did have in my mind was just a perfect scenario, a perfect environment to grow as a person, to grow as a player, to fall in love with medicine, to want to go to medical school, to have a coach that believed in me as a person as well as a player. So I have no regrets. We were covered well with the media. We had great fan support. So it's great now, and it's bigger, better. But I would no way look back.
What did Nancy Wilson mean to you in terms of your relationship, the player-coach relationship you had with her?
It was such a bond of trust. And to have, like I said, there are many great coaches back then and now, but to have a coach that truly believed in me, wanted me to succeed as a person as well as a player, wanted me to succeed in academics, but just be a better person, and enabled me to grow as a person for where I would be for my career and lifelong. And so that's just special when somebody puts that much effort into a kid and to impact on a kid's life for the future is just invaluable.
And the pearls, tell me about the pearls.
The pearls.
Did you always wear pearls back when you were playing, just to show people that, hey, I still have a feminine side too?
Well, we tried to be balanced. Yeah. We tried to have the feminine side and then drop it all when you get on the court. So it was the pearls, but I think I've grown too old for pearls. But it was we tried to have a proper balance and always retain femininity, but yet play like tigers on the court. So
there you go. Do you think your game back then would correlate well in today's women's basketball?
I don't know. They're bigger, quicker, lots faster. The athleticism has gotten so incredible. But I still think there is a niche for the kids that just give it their all and train like dogs and prepare and work hard. There's for that.
Okay, the doctor, Martha Parker Hester, who Tim Beret tells me, Tim knows everything. The late Clark Bynum, who played basketball at Clemson, she was his doctor when he was going through his fight with cancer and other ailments related to that. So connection there between Clemson basketball and USC women's basketball through Martha Parker. Troy Brown out of Blackville Hilda, New England Patriots drafted him 8th round, 1993, after winning a state championship, went to Marshall and was an outstanding player at the 1AA level, and then went on to win 3 Super Bowl rings with New England. 15-year career with the Patriots. I had a chance to talk with him about going into the Hall.
Oh, it means a lot. It's I've been recognized a lot of different places, in many different places. Massachusetts, New England, the Patriots, Marshall, down in Blackville. But the first being recognized here on a state level, is pretty amazing. It's been a long time coming. And it's something I've been looking forward to for a long time. So I am honored to be amongst so many of the great. I mean, we've had a ton of great athletes to come through this state at whatever level they played on here in this state, and to be amongst a lot of those guys, have my name amongst those guys, it's a complete honor.
And I'm always amazed by the athlete who comes out of the small town to make it big. And I mean, they don't come much smaller than Blackville, and you made it big. How does a guy go from Blackville Hilda to Super Bowl champion with the Patriots?
I mean, I think I just kept my head down and kept grinding and ignoring the noise that people saying he can't do it, he's too small, he's too slow, he's not this, he's not that. And I just always felt like I could compete with anybody, and I'll find a way. It may not be speed, but some kind of way I'll find a way to be able to compete and display my talents the best I could. And I just kept grinding, and it paid off for me. And obviously, a lot of help from a lot of other people out there too that had my back and was encouraging me to keep going and keep pushing. So, and that's how I ended up standing here talking to you today.
That's fantastic. At Blackville back in the day, in a typical football game, how many different positions did you play?
Oh, I never left the field. So that's the way I liked it and loved it, and would do it again.
Quarterback, run it. What did you do on offense?
I didn't play a lot of quarterback in high school. It was just running back, receiver, kick returner, a field goal block team, kickoff team, kickoff return team, punt team, punt returning. So it was, I had a blast, man. When you're that young, I guess you don't even think about getting tired anyway. But he never wanted to leave the field.
Did you find that later in your career at Marshall and in the NFL that having played all the positions really helped you refine and define what you were doing in one position?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of say that a little bit, when I being there and being asked to play defense on that level of football, just kind of flip things over and kind of think like, a receiver would think, I'm playing defense, and you recognize a lot of things they're trying to do, positions they try to get into, and create some mismatch and some rubs here and there. So, being able to figure those things out pretty quickly helped me out a lot. So, yeah.
All right, Troy Brown going into the Hall of Fame. Well-deserved. As I was telling a pro, I ran into Rick Sanford, who's in the Hall of Fame. He himself a former standout with the Patriots, but I told Rick, I said, it's finally good to have a former Patriot in the Hall of Fame with some rings, I told him he could do that commercial, like that NBA commercial where a guy comes down the stairs and says, DeAndre Jordan comes down and says, somebody stole my rings. I looked at Rick, I said, you ain't got no rings.
Come on now. He's got a South Carolina Hall of Fame ring. I'm
talking Super Bowl ring. You ain't got no rings.
Well, the key point about Troy Brown is he came around at the right time in the right offense. They utilized his quickness. They got the ball out quickly from the quarterback, and he was able to use his running back skills to get yards after the catch.
Yeah, absolutely. For a little guy, too. I mean, he is not very big. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Great to have you with us. We're brought to you by Future Scholars Palmetto Baby Grant Program. May 29th is 529 days. So everybody who's born May 29th, you're eligible. I'm telling you this in advance of you being born. You're eligible to receive a $529 college savings grant. To apply, get your mom and dad ahead of time to visit scpalmettobaby.com. scpalmettobaby.com. Future Scholar is administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. I'll give you some recruiting here in a moment. A lot of recruiting. Let me update a few other top stories of the day that we haven't gotten to. We've talked about the baseball stuff from the Gamecocks. TJ Hopkins, who injured his knee slamming into the wall trying to make a catch yesterday in the win over Texas A&M. MRI turned out okay, nothing serious. He's day-to-day and could play this weekend at Alabama. He's batting .321, and so I would imagine they'll try to get him into the lineup more often than they have recently. And let's see, did I mention this? I don't think I did. It became official today, SEC City of Greenville, announcing that the 2017 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament will be at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, March 1 through 5. Significant in that it's the first predetermined event set for the state of South Carolina of this kind since the Confederate flag was removed from the State House grounds back in July. So that's good. It's good to see that the NCAA and the conferences are back looking at the state of South Carolina. We've got so many places around our state that can hold championship events. It's good to see that we're back in play for that now. Athlon came out with its preseason top 25 ranking today, Pro. And it's got Alabama number 1, followed by Florida State, Ohio State, and Clemson. I think it's bogus, but that's what they've got. How can you rank? And see, that's where Alabama's reputation. I know Alabama's got several terrific, highly regarded future NFL players in its top 22. No question about it. But so does Clemson. And one thing Clemson has that Alabama doesn't have today is a great quarterback. And I think Clemson has more proven, maybe better running backs than Alabama does. That's why, in my eyes, Clemson should open the season number 1 ahead of Alabama.
Well, you know, as they say, if you're the heavyweight champ, you have to take the title away from them. When is the last time Alabama's had a true quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, they really have. They have gotten away with starting somebody new, it seems like, practically every year at quarterback. When's the last time? I guess you have to go back to who was the guy just a few years ago? Had the great-looking girlfriend that Brent Musburger fell in love with. What was his name?
Oh yeah, I can't recall his name. He's with the SEC Network now, isn't he? I thought. No, he isn't. He plays with Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
All right, anyway, after Clemson, they've got Michigan, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Notre Dame, LSU, and Ole Miss. Then it's Washington, Stanford, Michigan State, Baylor, and UCLA. Houston at 16, followed by Georgia, TCU, Louisville, Iowa, Florida, North Carolina, Southern Cal, Oregon, Oklahoma State. These pollsters are giving Georgia a lot of love. And I don't know, unsettled quarterback situation, Nick Chubb coming off the horrendous knee injury. I don't know about Georgia being ranked in the top 20 here so early.
I agree with you. A.J. McCarron is the guy.
That's him, A.J. McCarron.
Yeah, he plays with the Bengals now. Yeah, Georgia, I think probably, and I may be misspeaking, but I think I have a theory that Georgia, year in and year out, has so much high school talent that it seems that people who pick college football pick Georgia because it's Georgia. Hey, you know, they got a lot of Georgia kids on that field. Because there's I think Georgia, more than any top team in the SEC, almost definitely has to have tremendous lines of scrimmage. And I have to question some of those defensive linemen this time around. I know they keep a good offensive line, but as you say, Nick Chubb, I think from a psychological standpoint, if he's not ready to go early, I think Georgia may have some psychological problems that they don't have that bell cow early.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that pans out. And Georgia will have a chance to prove itself pretty early with some of the games that it has on its schedule. We'll be back, give you the recruiting report here on Sports Talk in just a moment. Okay, let's dive into recruiting here on this Monday edition of Sports Talk. Defensive back Natron Culpepper of Miami, athlete Tansy Richardson, South Aiken. They were at USC over the weekend, visited with the coaches, got a chance to see the facilities. Culpepper has also been to Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Western Michigan, and Eastern Michigan. Says he's high on USC right now, a top 10 coming soon. Richardson's been hearing recently from USC defensive coordinator Travaris Robinson. Thought he was coming to his scrimmage Friday, but he didn't make it. So he went to USC Sunday, checked out facilities and everything, and he said that the coaches there told him to be patient regarding an offer, but the indication he got was an offer would be coming. Wake Forest was by to check on him today. He has offers from Colorado State, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Coastal, and Charleston Southern. Saturday, USC had offensive lineman Riley Locklear of Huntington, West Virginia, on campus. He's 6'5", 295, and he has got multiple offers, West Virginia, Marshall, Florida State, Penn State, Louisville, Tennessee, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Oregon, just to name some. He liked the campus, the academic support, got a chance to meet with Sean Elliott and Will Muschamp, and he said Elliott likes him a lot. He's also been to West Virginia, Marshall, Tennessee, Vandy, and Auburn. And then that was on Friday. Saturday, it was another offensive lineman in to visit South Carolina from Virginia. That was Billy Ross. I'm sorry, let me back up. Billy Ross is coming in on June the 1st. Locklear was in on Saturday. And Billy Ross, who's from Huntington, West Virginia, but not from the same school as Locklear, he's coming in on June the 1st. And Sean Elliott has been through his school to check on him. And he likes Elliott and likes what he's doing with the Gamecocks offensive line. He has a lot of offers as well: West Virginia, Marshall, Florida, Duke, Maryland, Michigan, Mississippi State, Oregon, Tennessee, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and others. He has also visited West Virginia, Florida, Florida State, Tennessee, Auburn, Louisville, North Carolina, and NC State. He plans to visit Ohio State and North Carolina in June. Linebacker Jordan Anthony of IMG Academy in Florida released his top 10. Clemson, Michigan, Maryland, Oklahoma, LSU, Penn State, Georgia, Ohio State, UCLA, and Auburn. Clemson offered 2018 defensive end Dorian Hardy of Montvale, New Jersey. Receiver T. Higgins of Oak Ridge, Tennessee released the top 10, and Clemson is on that group, along with Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Georgia, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss. Clemson quarterback commitment Hunter Johnson earned an invitation to the Elite 11 finals. He won the regional competition in Chicago, so Clemson will have 2 quarterback commitments next month in Los Angeles, competing in the Elite 11 finals. Hunter Johnson and Chase Bryce will be the other. We got a little bit more for you coming up after the break.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network over here at the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Things are getting underway. Just heard South Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture, Hugh Weathers, spit out a great rendition of the national anthem. Got a great voice, along with knowing how to grow corn and everything else. He can sing a little bit. Okay, I had a few more recruiting notes to get to that I could not squeeze in the last segment, so let me just finish this up. Defensive end Michael McDaniel, Loganville, Georgia, is getting closer to having his qualifying status figured out. According to his assistant coach, Kenyatta Watson, the NCAA has approved McDaniel's classes, and he's now waiting to see if he's passed the graduation test. Now, Watson said Georgia and Texas A&M are the two schools keeping in touch with McDaniel. He said McDaniel hasn't mentioned USC to him recently. At one point, he was favoring the Gamecocks. Quarterback Braxton Burmeister, La Jolla, California, recommitted to Arizona on Friday. USC was a finalist. He visited earlier this spring. Originally committed to the Wildcats in January and decommitted in March. And USC this morning offered 2018 running back Sean Shivers of Hollywood, Florida, and 2018 athlete Xavier Williams of Hollywood, Florida. In basketball, the Citadel has added a signee, 6'6" Leandro Allende from Miami. Newberry has picked up a transfer from University of Maryland, Baltimore County. He is Lamel Washington, and he averaged 15.5 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocks per game as a high school senior up in Maryland. And 6'8" Keanu Pinder of Hutchinson Junior College, Kansas, Perth, Australia, who visited USC, signed with Arizona over the weekend. So that's another one off the board for South Carolina. Arizona having quite a finish when they signed Keanu Pinder, transfer from Hutch, and they signed Dylan Smith, a transfer from UNC Asheville, who was considering Clemson as well. So Arizona picking up a couple of late additions to their class there. All right, that's recruiting. Don't forget to check our recruiting out online at our website, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, make sure you use the hashtag STRecruiting. Speaking about the website, sportstalksc.com, our poll question of the week: how many points per game will Clemson average this football season? 40 points or more? So far, 27% say that. 35 to 40 points, 22%. 30 to 35 points, 32%. 20 to 30 points, about 19%. So far, most are saying for Clemson 30 to 35 points per game for this coming season. We'll be back. Take your phone calls in a moment. Having a great time here at the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. A lot of great people. Boy, this place is packed. The big ballroom is absolutely filled. Maybe 900 folks in there. They've got an orchestra playing. It's a big deal, a big event here in South Carolina, and we're proud of the fact that we've been involved with it for as long as we have been on Sports Talk, and we will continue to be a part of it moving forward. And you know what? You got Gamecocks here, you got Tigers here, you got fans of all shades here. We can all agree, they can all agree on Founders Federal Credit Union. Of course, the convenient location at the Russell House on USC's campus, a new location, Highway 93 in Clemson, coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit, relax, join founders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Okay, couple of things to mention, and then we'll get to some phone calls. I've been given a number, 800-956-7266, 800-956-7266. Everything is open for your comments and questions here on Sports Talk. Sammy Watkins has a broken small bone in his foot. A screw inserted to address the issue, according to the NFL Network. He should be ready for training camp. Brandon Boykin, his stay with the Panthers didn't last very long. They cut him today. The third team in just over 10 months to cut ties with him. Signed with the Panthers in late March after spending last season with the Steelers. He was expected to be the Panthers' slot corner to compete for snaps after the release of Josh Norman. They sent him packing to make room on their roster for several players from their rookie minicamp. Okay, we'll wait and see what happens at that corner spot if that becomes an area of contention for the Panthers this coming season. It was, of course, a lockdown area for them in the past with Josh Norman. We'll see if that becomes a problem area for them moving forward.
Leon Hall is available. The old Michigan corner that Cincinnati let go. Apparently, he's had a lot of interviews. Maybe ends up with the Panthers, but he is a little old for a corner at 31.
Wofford left-hander Adam Scott is the Southern Conference Pitcher of the Week through a complete game 2 hitter Saturday, just one over the minimum in a 10-0 victory. Second time he's won the award this season. And I think let me mention this. This came out over the weekend. USC going to the NCAA softball tournament, going to the Tallahassee Regional. And on Friday, the South Carolina people will face South Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, the champions
South Florida.
of the
American Conference. Upstate is also going to the tournament. They will be going to Auburn and will open up against Oregon State on Friday. So good luck to all of them. Okay, love to hear from you, your thoughts about anything sporting-wise over the weekend, locally or nationally. NBA playoffs tonight. We've got Golden State and Oklahoma City. Dream matchup. Boy, Westbrook and Curry, that's just going to be a battle. That's just going to be an absolute war and going to be fun to watch. I hope they stay healthy and both can play at a high level throughout. All right, let's go to the phones, and we go to James in Sumter. James, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. Love this show in the afternoon. It's very relaxing. Love you and the professor and everybody on here, Phil. But got something I got to disagree with you with. Now I caught the tail end of it. Was that SI's preseason top 25? What was the top 5 again?
No, that was Athlon Publications preseason top 25. Yeah, this is their preseason top 25. It was Alabama, Florida State, Ohio State, Clemson, Michigan. That's the top 5.
Okay. I think Clemson should be top 5, but we can't put Clemson number 1 simply because Deshaun Watson is a once in every 25-year player. I mean, I think he's the best quarterback in the ACC since Charlie Ward. And I think he could be on that level of Jameis Winston also. But I'm talking about, I don't put him in the same level with Jameis simply because Jameis to me is more of a drop back guy. This kid Watson is more like Ward, just cat quick, can beat you with his feet, can beat you with his arm. But Clemson just simply lost too much on defense. That's why I think they're going to get us a couple of games this year where they're just not going to be able to. The offense is just not going to be there that day. And last year, that defense just kept everybody in check. They just controlled the tempo of games. I don't see them doing that this year. So I think where they're at right now, anywhere from that 3 to 5, that's where it should be at. Until it beats Alabama and until Clemson beats Florida State in Tallahassee, I think they right where they should be, simply because they can. They're not going to come in under the radar under anybody this year. But I just think number one, I don't see them number one until they can really show that defense hadn't lost too much. I just think they lost too much on defense.
Well, I think you bring up an excellent point. It's the same conversation we could have had at this time last year, and they fixed their defense quite well last year. And I think Brent Venables is confident with the players that he has brought along, both last season, the young guys and the new guys coming in. I think that they've got a chance to fill those holes quite well. I see guys like the newcomers, a Trey Lamar, a Shaq Smith, getting extensive playing time, helping out at the linebacker spots. I think Christian Wilkins now, if we saw what he did last year, the way they can play him both at defensive end and move him inside and move him all around, he's got a chance to have an All-American type of year. Carlos Watkins is back to kind of anchor things. That older – one thing Clemson normally has had on its defensive line is that older guy in the middle who's been around to kind of be that leader. They've got that guy. Austin Bryant's got a chance to be an All-ACC player at the other defensive end spot. We've seen what he can do. But just like last year, you had Shaq Lawson. You knew what he could do at one defensive end spot. You had the question mark on the other side, and Kevin Dodd emerged as a NFL player. Same thing here. Austin Bryant can play at a very high level at defensive end. The other defensive end spot is going to be the question mark. But they have a tendency to figure it out and find players. I think the greatest question is going to be in the secondary, that one corner opposite Cordray Tankersley, and then both safeties. And they fixed their kickoff defense, their return defense. But here's something, Pro. I didn't realize this till I looked it up. And this is something to consider as it comes into play this year. Dabo Swinney, as Clemson's head coach, has never won at Auburn. He's never won at Florida State. He's never won at Georgia Tech. And they go to all three of those places this season.
And there are 3 times when he should have won. I mean, I'm still – and that was Deshaun Watson's coming out party. I'm still trying to figure out how Florida State stole that game. And they had I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, they had Auburn all on the ropes. And it wasn't at overtime when the pass went off Watkins or one of the receivers' fingertips.
Well, remember
in the end zone.
Remember, they had a botched extra point attempt.
Yes.
That had that not happened, they would have won the game outright. If I believe that happened in regulation. They had every opportunity to win that game and spoil Auburn's national championship season, as did South Carolina a few weeks later at Auburn. Those were 2 games that Auburn escaped that year that they won the national championship. Either one of those games go the other way, and, Cam Newton is still Cam Newton, but Auburn doesn't win the national championship. So, yeah, you're right. He's had his chances to win at those places. It just hasn't happened for him. Georgia Tech is the most inexplicable thing. Of course, 2 years ago or 2 seasons ago, Deshaun gets hurt, and we all know what happened after that. So you have to hope that you can keep your main guy healthy and do what you do, and you shouldn't have a problem. Thank you for your phone call. 800-956-7266. We'll take more calls if you'd like to join us here on Sports Talk. And we're back in Sports Talk here on a Monday night. Phil Kornblut, the Professor Tom Hayes. Happy to be with you. And Carson Mason back running things again in our studios on Main Street. I'm over at the Columbia Convention Center for the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame ceremonies, which are going on as we speak. We go back to your phone calls, 800-956-7266. Tiger Bryan in Lancaster. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Doing great, man. How y'all doing?
I think we're doing fine, thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got one good shout out for Buford High School Yellow Jackets down in Dillon softball girls. First game for the state championship tonight. Go Jackets. If y'all could get me an update sometime tonight, I'd appreciate it. And I got one more question for you, and I'm gonna hang up and let y'all do y'all think.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the powerhouse in each division in high school football this year?
In each division, my goodness, we got 5 of them now. We got 5 classifications. Things are being readjusted, of course, and I have to give my man David Shelton on the hook to talk about that. I would imagine you're going to see some of the same people, as I just think. I haven't really paid much attention or studied any of the high schools looking ahead to 2016 just yet. But that being said, here in the Midlands area, I think Dutch Fork is going to be very good again this year. I think Somerville will be better with Joe Call going into his second year, going through what he had to go through last year. I think they'll be better down in the low country. I believe that Fort Dorchester, of course, is going to be exceptional. Wando should be pretty good. And again, I'm going to leave some people out who should be mentioned. I'm just going off the top of my head. Dillon will be strong once again as they move up to 3A, no doubt about it. In the upstate, of course, you're going to have your normal. Northwestern will be great. Burns will be great. Spartan High will be great. Dorman will be very good. South Point's going to be great. Just thinking who else really jumps out at me off memory. Shoot, that's all I can think of right now. 1A level, I'm not sure who still is down in 1A, who moved up to 2A, I'd have to look at the breakdown. McBee should be pretty good once again. I think Latta will be okay. They'll be in 2A this year. So anyway, I don't want to try and name too many, but those are some of the ones off the top of my head who I would expect to be pretty decent in high school football. We'll get David Shelton on here at some point in time and let him start to break down these classes for us. Pro, unless you have some insight you want to share.
Not really. One team you didn't mention out of the Midlands, and I know they've lost a lot of people the last couple of years, is Ridgeview.
Yeah, Ridgeview could be much better this year too, because they've got some guys being recruited. That usually lends to a talented team and a better season. So, I think mentioning Ridgeview is probably a wise thing to do. Thank you for your phone call, 800-956-7266. Back in a moment. Since Tiger Bryan brought it up, I need to mention the state championship series beginning today in baseball and softball. In 1A baseball, it's the series of series. This is the one everybody will be talking about for days and weeks to come. It's Latta defending 1A state champions against McBee, the hated McBeans. First game is tonight, just underway over at McBee. Well, those dirt roads going into McBee probably all backed up with the Mercedes and the Jaguars coming in from Latta. So Latta and McBee playing. Next game will be on Wednesday in Latta, and if a third game is necessary, it'll be at a neutral site. That's the case for all these series. The 2A championship series, it's Strom Thurmond at Aner tonight to begin that series. Okay. In 3A baseball, we have got determined yet. They're still playing. I guess they were delayed by some weather. So you've got Airport and St. James playing tonight, and Seneca and Belton Honeypath playing tonight. So they're still trying to determine their upper and lower state champions. And looks to me like St. James and BHP are the undefeated teams in those brackets. And in 4A baseball, we've got Somerville at J.L. Mann tonight in the first game of that championship series. Now softball, 1A is East Clinton at Dixie, where a former Latta basketball star used to be the basketball coach and athletic director at Dixie for many years. In 2A, Buford at Dillon for that series opener. In 3A softball, again, we have delays, so they're finishing it up tonight, upper and lower state championships. You've got Hartsville at Hanahan, Union County at Chapin, and in 4A softball, it's Stratford at Burns to open up that championship series. Okay. These brackets bend my mind every year. I try to decipher them. Back to the phones we go here on Sports Talk. Keith in West Columbia, good evening, and welcome in. How are you?
Pretty good. Okay, listen, we'll talk a little bit about Carolina baseball.
Go.
Hey, listen, okay, you go back to the Kentucky series where we didn't win that. I know Kentucky got some group of really good pitchers, and we just didn't fare very well there like we usually do of past history. And then we had the split with Florida, and then the loss of the series with Tate Stadium. However, I was proud of Carolina coming back yesterday and getting that third game win. So this leads to my theory, and I'd like to hear y'all's opinion. That I just believe that South Carolina needs to beat DeSoto, which they should tomorrow night, and they need to go to Alabama, and they need to sweep them to be able to host. That's just my opinion. I don't know how y'all feel. What do you think?
No, I think they got to win 2 out of 3 at Alabama. I think when you look at the body of work that South Carolina has done,
Right.
they've earned a regional. I think the key point is if you're talking 8 national seed, yeah, maybe a sweep is in order. But I think you're looking too far ahead there because so many things can happen that South Carolina can still win the East Corn by taking 2 out of 3 for Alabama. Because
well, yeah, you're right. Here's the problem that South Carolina faces too, and this is just one of those years where the SEC is top heavy with excellent teams, right. And you know, some are saying the SEC will get 6 hosts, which seldom happens. 5 is more usual, or 4 is more usual. 6 is unusual. Has happened, but it's not something that happens very often. So, you know, the Gamecocks have 17 league wins right now? Yeah. They are, is that right? 17-9. So, you know, if they only win 1 at Alabama, that's 18 league wins. In the SEC, any given year, 18 league wins is a heck of a season. That'll also put them at 40 wins going into the SEC tournament where they perhaps can, do some good things, though their history there has not been good lately. But you've also got, Florida's locked in. Texas A&M's going to get a regional. Mississippi State's going to get a regional. That's 3. Now you're competing with Ole Miss, LSU, and Vanderbilt, and possibly Alabama. The way they're finishing up, I don't think Alabama's going to have quite enough credential-wise to get a regional host. But the question will be, will the committee want to award the SEC 6 this year or cut them off at 5?
I think they got a chance to get 6 because, let's face it, there's only I think there's only one West Coast team in the top 25, and whoever wins the Pac-10, if it's Utah, who has the best record, but they have an overall losing record. So you may have a champion in the Pac-12, I should say the Pac-14, whatever, but they could have the Pac-12. They could have, only maybe 1 or 2 teams out of the Pac-12 to even make the tournament. So I don't see anybody hosting out west. Do you?
Well, you make a good point. As I run down the RPI, Santa Barbara is the highest ranked RPI from out west, and they're 21. They're 32-15-1 overall, 5-3 against the top 50. Strength of schedule 61. So credentials aren't particularly great, but you look at some of the teams outside the top 16 who might be able to snatch away a host site from somebody inside the top 16. And you look at, say, and if you do want to spread things around outside the South, you might look at TCU. They have a 34-14 record. They have a strength of schedule 43, and they're 19 in the RPI. You look at an Oklahoma State, 32-17, very good in their league, 19-9 in their league. You may have to put one there. You may have to put one at Arizona at 24 RPI. Fullerton at 28 RPI. If you want to spread some things around that could cost the SEC in particular that bulk grouping of, right now, you definitely would have to say, looking at hosts, Florida, Louisville, Miami, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, that's your top 5. Okay, they'll probably give one to NC State, 2. That's 6. Then you've got, I'm skipping South Carolina. Mississippi State always makes a strong argument because of the number of people they can put in their park. That would be 7. Then Texas Tech would be 8. LSU would be 9. If they want to go back to the ACC, you're talking Virginia and Florida State. That's 10 and 11. I don't know if they'll give one to North Carolina this year, but again, you're talking about if you want to put one in the Big South, Coastal Carolina would be 12. TCU would be 13, as we pointed out. If you want to go out west, Santa Barbara would be 14, and then those other schools that I mentioned. But then again, South Carolina, if they get to 18 or 19 SEC wins, that puts them over 40 wins overall. I don't see how you can ignore them as a regional host. Then if they go to the SEC tournament, knock off a win or 2, you'd have to really consider them strongly again for a top 8 national seed.
I would agree. And it's not been that long since they've been there. I think a lot of people are kind of panicking when they shouldn't. We knew when they went to Kentucky, that's not a place they normally play well. And the most interesting thing about it is, I don't know what Kentucky's psyche is, but if I'm not mistaken, Phil, they've taken the last 4 series in the last four years from Florida. So apparently Kentucky loves to play against the big dogs, and they stumble against the middle of the pack because they have been very dangerous for teams like South Carolina and Florida over the past few years.
Mm-hmm. All right, 800-956-7266, the number. We got time for more of your phone calls. If you'd like to join us here on Sports Talk, we'll be right back. All right, we are back at Sports Talk, 800-956-7266. That's our phone number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at Sports Talk SC. And we're brought to you by Future Scholars Palmetto Baby Grant Program. May 29th is 529 Day. All babies born on May 29th are eligible to receive a $529 college savings grant. And to apply, you visit scpalmettobaby.com. scpalmettobaby.com. Future Scholar is administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Okay, talking about the baseball situation for USC and Clemson. South Carolina right now controlling its destiny, sitting in fourth place overall in the SEC race, the overall SEC race. So, that's where you want to be, no worse than fourth. If you can sweep Alabama, then you're going to be fine. You'll get the first round bye in the SEC tournament, not have to spend your pitching there. If you don't sweep Alabama, then you're going to have to sweat some things out because Ole Miss is right there behind you. LSU's right there behind you. Alabama's creeping up, and Vandy's there too. So still a lot of teams trying to crack into that top four. Chad Holbrook will be with us live later in the week, but after the game yesterday, he had a couple of interesting things to talk about, including some things he shared with his team prior to yesterday's game. Now, the Gamecocks had not played all that well in the first two games, losing to A&M. Got some good pitching on Friday night, but not timely hitting Friday night nor on Saturday, and really weren't making plays in the field all that well. While Texas A&M, those first two games, they pretty much did all the little things right. Got the bunts down, got the cutoff throws in the right place, held Gamecocks to very few bases. So here's Chad talking about getting his guys back focused and ready to play on Sunday, and they went out and won that ball game.
I was very concerned because, we'd lost 4 games in a row in the league, and a couple of them were heartbreakers. And our kids were, they were looking. I saw some looks in their faces last night that I didn't really like. And so I brought them in today and told them a couple stories and told them how proud I was of them that they got to this point. And, I'm not going to tell you guys this, but I put before every season, I write a prediction on how many games we're going to win overall and how many games we're going to win in the league. And I put it in an envelope and I seal it, and I wait till the end of the thing. And I let this cat out of the bag today. I told them, I usually don't tell anybody, but I told them. And I wanted to tell them because they've exceeded my expectations. And I thought we had a really good team. I just thought like they had so much pressure on them that I just wanted them to know, one, I was proud of them. Two, this game that we're getting ready to play today is not the end-all, be-all, and it's not going to make or break our season. And I think they've been walking around a little bit, feeling the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I'm no psychologist by any stretch. I just wanted to relieve the pressure that they felt. And I don't know if it worked or not, but I did my darndest, and I told them the story that, what the 2010 team did. I told them that story that, we went through a terrible rut at the end of the season. We lost the series home to Florida, SEC tournament, and we're losing at home to Bucknell 5-1. Now, you think about that scenario. That was a lot worse situation than this current team is in. You go back to that 5th inning against Bucknell, I'm talking panic. Panic was getting ready to set in, and I was like, listen, that team won the national championship. You're not on some island by yourself. You're not going through, something that no other team at South Carolina's done. It's how you rebound from it. And I just felt like I wanted them to know that as the coach, I was proud of them, that they'd done a good job. And I wanted them to take a deep breath, relax, and go out there and play and have fun. And, when you win, you do have fun. I don't know if the talk had anything to do with the way they played. Probably not giving coaching too much credit, but I wanted them to enjoy the game because they've done some nice things.
No, I think he deserves credit for settling his guys down and keeping their confidence up. He's still trying some things with the lineup pro, moving some guys in and out. Everybody's been on John Jones for his slump, and he definitely has been slumping here of late. Madison Stokes, DC Arendis over at second base, neither one providing much offense, though Arendis is very good on defense. TJ Hopkins is probably a solution to some problems if they can figure out a way to get him into the everyday lineup. But that may have to come at the expense of John Jones, who is somebody that Holbrook has stood behind this entire season as he's gone through this second half slump. We're back in a moment.
About to enter the center of a maelstrom.
We certainly have had a wonderful time here at the Columbia Convention Center, being around the Hall of Famers. Once again, we want to offer our sports talk statewide congratulations to the 2016 class of Hall of Famers for the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. Troy Brown, Greg Buckner, Art Wisnett, B.J. Mackey, Martha Parker Hester, Richard Wieters, Buddy Sasser, and Flint Rem. What's really neat is that to the athletes, it's more about their families and friends for this than it is for them. To a person, Pro, that's what they care about is the enjoyment that others get by their success. And I had a chance to talk to B.J. Mackey and Justin Mackey before coming in here to do the show, and the Mackey family was there. The dad was there. Boy, they just busting with pride over BJ going into this thing. And that's really what it's about, is what the family gets out of enjoying seeing their son or daughter be inducted into the Hall.
Well, BJ epitomized what a coach would want in an athlete. And that is, and I mean this in a polite way, BJ was the nicest guy to deal with off the court, but when he got on the court, he cut your throat. I mean, he played a tough brand of basketball and backed down from no one. And a lot of people don't understand how you can do that, but many guys can do things with class, and then when they get on that court, it's all business. And if they have to play mean, case in point, look at the way Dwayne Wade is off the court, and watch him on the court. I mean, he'll do anything to win a basketball game. And of course, BJ was that one time he got carried away with the guy from Florida to hit him in the back of the head. And BJ wanted to remind him that he could tag him in the back of the head as well.
Sure. Now, we congratulate them all. We also congratulate the other award winners here tonight. Bob Spear from the State Newspaper receiving the Herman Helms Excellence in Media Award, and Julian Gibbons getting the Dom Fushi Leadership in Action Award. All right, I can update some scores here. By the way, our buddy Chris Deering from the State tells me those 3A games were not delayed, but they started their playoffs later than the other classes. That's why they are a game behind, basically, in the bracket. Let's see. Strom Thurmond is leading in its game 4-0. And I'm trying to remember who Strom Thurmond is playing. Heck, I don't know. I'm just reading the scores here. Whoever they're playing, they're up 4-0. And Airport and St. James, they've played 6 innings. They're 3-3. Buford is leading Dillon. This would be softball. Buford leading Dillon 3-0. That's a final score. Buford beat Dillon 3-0. So there you go. Thanks to the folks here at the Convention Center and with the Hall of Fame for taking good care of us. Thank you, Carson. Thank you, Pro. Thanks to all of you for being with us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night right back here on Sports Talk. All right, I'll be ready in a second. Set that. Be with you in just a second. Let me get these stories from that K-Mag for the morning cast. Okay.